Hello and welcome to the next installment in the series of looking at working with Zmodeler. I think we're up to part 16 now, is it? Probably. Anyway, in this video tutorial we're going to be looking at how you prepare your model and get it ready for export to the game. Now, not going into philosophies or anything, but this is where there is a great difference between ETS and UKTS. Excuse me. With ETS, you only have to package up your model and the definition files in an SCS, drop it in the mod, and away you go. With UKTS, because you're actually making changes to a definition file, you've got to include all the models that are mentioned in that definition file. As I'll show you now, I'm working off my terrace model, which I've compiled and have it here, as you can see, along with all the other models, because we're exporting to UKTS. And your model folder, once added to the, obviously it's going to be called the name of the model, and then into the model folder itself, in your project folder on your desktop. And you should have these files for your model: your PMG, which is the main model, the PMC, the collision box, PMD, the material definitions, and obviously the materials and the T objects and all this, that and the other. So once you've got all that, you then copy that folder into your project directory under the model folder, as I have there. And then we need to look at including your new model into the model.sii file, which can be found in world. Should copy these files from your UKTS base into your project folder on your desktop. Here's your model.sii. Now obviously anybody who's had any kind of run-ins with SII files knows they're an absolute minefield. However, it is easier with model.sii, in fact with a few of them, if you actually open them in WordPad. And as you can see, these are all the inclusions for all the models that we're going to be packaging up and putting into an SCS file. As you can see, there is quite a hell of a lot, and you need to include definitions for your model in this file, otherwise the game won't find it. So to include your model in this file, you need to scroll right to the bottom, which is what I'm doing now, and we'll get there someday, maybe when I'm quite a bit greyer and quite a bit older and quite a bit more cranky. There we are, right. Now as you can see, I've already made my entry into this file for my model, and you need to structure your declaration as is shown there. Your first point obviously to remember is to make sure that the model numbers follow in sequence. You state the path to the model's PMD file. Distance type is just a general look sort of thing, you don't need to worry overly too much about that. Once you've made your declarations in this file, you need to save it and close it. And before we package our models up, there is one other thing I want to talk through with you before we actually do all that packaging up. And that is, if you look into your model folder and find the folder where your actual model is that you want to get in the game, if you have any textures that have any add-env sort of suffixes on the end of the material file, you need to add a couple of lines of code into that material file for it to work properly, otherwise the game generates an error and can crash. So let's have a look in this one. I've got this one set to building.add.env.day, which basically makes the alpha channel come through when the time in the game has obviously gone past when it's dark. So, for example, 10 o'clock at night, and it looks as though the building is actually lit up. But to make it work, you need to include these lines of code, as I've said. So let's have a look at it. I've already added mine in. The first line you'll need to add is this one. Now this directs the compiler to look for this particular reflection file to make the alpha channel work as it should, and obviously that has got to go in sequence as well. So your texture 0 is your actual texture itself for the model, and the texture 1 is the effect, if you like. Once you've entered that, you need to also give your material an nth factor. Now quite often this is where you'll come unstuck, because this is one of the things it looks for when compiling these files into a sort of a runtime library for each model. If you include that line, the texture 1, that's fine, but it won't work unless you put an nth factor with it. Generally speaking, I just set it at 0.1 3 times obviously, and that works tickety-boo, so bear that one in mind. Okay, now we can actually package our model up, our models rather, into an SCS file and get it in the game. So freeze, so just left click and hold, drag over it to highlight both of them. Then I right click on one of the highlighted folders. I use WinZip for making SCS files. Some people prefer WinRAR. I'll show you that way first. You click add to archive. Here you'd give it the name, whatever name you want to put, well then at the end you'd put .scs. You'd set that to zip rather than RAR. Change that to SCS. Make sure for compression using WinRAR store is shown. You don't want any compression whatsoever, and then you could click OK and so on. But I'm going to use WinZip because I always find it easier for some reason. So hover over WinZip and then click add to zip file. Similar sort of principle here. Just give it a name, remembering the SCS extension. Compression none, that's important. We want absolutely no compression. Then you simply click add, and the program is now making the SCS file with all the gubbins in that we need. There we go. We can close that now, and there we can see we've got our SCS file. What you do with that obviously is right click copy, and then go browse to your UK Truck Simulator folder in your documents, my documents, and drop it in your mod. As you can see, I've already got mine in there now. So now at this stage we're ready to run the editor and see, you know, if everything's gone okay, we should be able to see our model in the game. So let's run that now. Make sure you also change your settings on this window to windowed mode. 800 by 600 is quite good enough. You don't need sound, you can just go at that. Okay, then press the console key, and to get access to the editor, type edit Britain, or whatever map name it is you're working on. Press enter. Just give it a few seconds to load the map up. There we are. Not exactly sure where we are on the map, but it doesn't matter because we don't have to be absolutely pinpoint precise about this. There it'll do. Now then, let's see if that model has worked and your definitions and declarations are all working okay. So you press E, then 4 for models, and there you can see there's my terraced houses. To get the height right, make sure you just run it over the node of the road. Left click to place it. Press R a couple of times just to get it into the right place. And let's have a look at it in camera mode. And there you can see how many houses. Obviously the height needs adjusting, so just do that, and there we have it. If you need to alter the scale when you've got your model in the game, maybe it's either too small or whatever, you haven't scaled it right, whatever, it's not a problem, you can easily change that. Just press N for node properties and click on the node for your model, and here you can change the position of it. That's fine. And just press P to make sure that the properties are alright, and here you can see we can actually alter the scale. So for example, standard would be scale 1, so I'm going to choose scale 3, and let's see what it does to the model. And as you can see, it's quite considerably bigger. Now let's go into the camera mode again. My goodness. A terraced row of houses for giants. It's just the height of it again. And so you get the principle of it. That basically, in a nutshell, is how you would get your own custom models into the game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.